Hi, welcome to Manas Shil YouTube channel. Before we start, kindly subscribe to my YouTube channel. Thank you. Let's start the video. If you haven't watched the previous video, I'll link it in the description box, or you can click here. Tensura Volume 20. Chapter 2. Report and Countermeasures. Emergency Meeting. After Ramur and Guy left, there was a heavy atmosphere in the meeting room. "I've never felt so helpless before," Diablo muttered. These words represented the sentiments of those who were present. That's for sure. I was told that I had a major role to play in analyzing and directing the war situation, but even if I had to give up that role, I would have been happy to serve as Ramur-sama's escort. Benimaru also speaks honestly. He could not strongly oppose Ramura's decision because he thought Ramura's decision was right, but in truth, Ramura was more important than his friends. This time was different. Ramura, who is always so aloof, was quite nervous. He seemed to hide it so as not to make everyone uneasy, but Benimaru, who has known him for a long time, could see it clearly. He was not happy about the situation. "I didn't intend it that way, but I guess I'm still spoiled by Ramura-sama. Yes. If that's what Ramura-sama wants, then I have no choice but to comply, but I'm disappointed that he thought I couldn't take it easy on him. That's not all. Feldway, Jahal, and Demon Lord Daggerul, there are many enemies to watch out for, and we are not strong enough. That's why they decided it would be better to let you help us." Benimaru had guessed Ramura's thoughts almost correctly. They had known each other for a long time. It was only natural that he should be able to do so. That's why he feels so disappointed in himself. "We can't just sit around moping. We just have to do what we are given to do, and do it honestly," Zijin concludes. Zijin also understands the importance of the labyrinth. That is why he warns them not to let unnecessary anxiety interfere with their original mission. Thus, Zijin and his group return to their territory in order to be ready for any enemy to attack at any time. Benimaru laughed at Zijin's attitude. "Well, Zijin is right. Each one of you, keep your heads up for the mission." He encouraged everyone to resume their work to fulfill the responsibilities of those who had been assigned to take over from Ramur. Ramrus and her men are busy. There is much to do. Busy work is a distraction from the anxiety. In the meantime, the usual atmosphere returned to the control room, but the normalcy that had been restored faded away with Sai's return. "You're back, Sai." "Yes. Where's Ramur-sama?" "There was a serious situation. He's on his way to deal with it." "Damn, I have to depend on you again." Benimaru asked him. "So, you seem to be in a hurry, is something wrong?" Sao instantly regained his composure and started to report. "I was investigating the movements of the people of Daggerul under the order of Ramura-sama." He prefaced his report by saying so, and then he described the results of his investigation in detail. In Damergania, there was an underground city buried in the desert as a place of refuge. When the once prosperous royal city was destroyed, the city abandoned the ground and developed a huge subterranean space around an underground lake, creating a living space that could support tens of thousands of people. The women and children of the giants seemed to be leading their lives as usual there. Sao saw that they were not affected by the changes in Daggerul. Relieved, he set out to investigate the cause of Daggerul's betrayal. Sao went to the royal palace. There were only a few soldiers left, but the administrators were working as usual. They did not know about Daggerul's change of mind, and treated Sao as an emissary from the allied countries. After listening to them, Sao was able to find the cause of this betrayal. He could not guarantee that he was right, but since he had no other information to go on, he decided to report for the time being. "I see. So you're saying that the three brothers, including the sealed brother, were once a single titan, an evil god rampaging around as the destroyer of the world." "That's right. They reformed after their defeat by Veldanava-sama, and became as calm as they are now after meeting Queen Kasar. Myths are not to be taken for fools. We should consider that it is based on some truth." "Yeah, I agree. Then we should be wary of the resurrection of the evil gods." Benimaru and Sao nodded their heads in agreement. Those who were listening to their conversation also looked at each other with serious expressions. "Well, it may be true," said Benimaru. "Daggerul is an incarnation of naturally occurring power, and he fought against Veldanava a long time ago." Even Ramrus said something like that, which further increased the importance of the argument. "By the way, how strong was this evil god?" Benimaru asked Ramrus. "He was very strong. Not as strong as me, but stronger than my old master." "Of course, he is stronger than me now." Ramrus hurriedly calms down Baldor, who is unhappy at being told that she is stronger than him. I don't know if he meant it or not, but at least everyone understood that the evil god is a threat equivalent to a true dragon. Bad news may come in a string of bad news. The call came from Miles. We're in trouble. I have just received an urgent message from my sister. No, Almesia, that Sarian has entered into a state of war. He shouted as he rushed into the control room. What? Benamera answered and asked him to tell the details. Miles answered that he had received a call through his cell phone. There are several ways to communicate between Tempest and the Sorcerer's Dynasty of Sarian, but Almesia seems to have decided that a direct line would be the most reliable. Miles also sensed this and rushed here while conversing with her. Miles is out of breath, but gets to the point. The two who attacked Sarian were Zelario and Jahal. They led the main force to launch the assault, he said. So it was not a diversion but a full-scale offensive. Yes, sir. Sarian has Sylvia Dono, but it'll be tough. Benamera growled as he grasped the situation. Sylvia was indeed strong. Even if Benamera were to fight her, it would be a pretty good match. However, Sylvia's opponent was Jahal, whom even Benamera had a hard time against. Although there is a certain affinity in a battle, Sylvia alone would not be able to do it when there is Zelario, a strong opponent, in addition to Jahal. Argus, the surveillance spell, has been successfully switched. Local video, it's coming up. Alpha tactfully shows the situation in Sarian on the big screen. There, trees towering from the gods' generation are shown, towering over the huge city. This is the pride of Sarian, the divine tree. Here and there, flashes of light twinkled on its trunk and branches. The flashes were as small and ephemeral as sparklers in the video, but there was no doubt that they were huge explosions. Jahal's fire. This must be serious. What do we do, Benamera? Sao asked Benamera, and Benamera looked anguished. If we don't send our forces here, Sarian will fall. However, there is no one who can be sent out. A half-hearted force would be nothing more than a drop in the bucket, and if they were to send a force, they had to generate a force that would ensure victory. In the labyrinth, they could carry out suicide missions without worrying about death. Even if they could not win the war, they could easily stall for time. However, when it comes to dispatch, I guess I'll have to go. Benamera, Diablo, and Zijin. Even these three are not certain against Jahal and his men. With the others, it would be like going to die. Shall I go? Diablo offered, but Benamera refused. He was not sure, but he had a bad feeling. No, I fought Jahal once. I was no match for him then, but I have a chance now. Benamera was training hard in the labyrinth to review his abilities. Although there was no visible change in the amount of magicule, his ability had certainly improved. Even so, there was no guarantee that he could win against Jahal, but in order to dispel everyone's fears, he confidently and boldly showed his confidence. Diablo also refrained from refuting Benamera's argument, taking Benamera's intention into consideration. While expressing his gratitude to Diablo, Benamera continued. Besides, if this is a diversion, it would be dangerous to further devote our defenses to the main labyrinth. My intuition is telling me that it's better for you to stay here. I see. If Benamera Dono says so, I will obey him. Benamera is the man who has been assigned by Remura to take his place. In terms of the chain of command, he was above Diablo. Diablo decided to tell him what he thought. But Zelario is strong, isn't he? It's Jahal that Benamera is wary of, but Diablo thinks Zelario is more of a nuisance. The man is a true warrior. He has a lot of skill, not to mention a lot of magicule. Benamera's decision did not waver even though he was told so. No, he was thinking about it, but he swallowed it down without showing it. I'm leaving. It's decided. Ha, are you copying Remura-sama? But how are you going to lead? We can do that from the road. Benamera assured him so. He is aware that this is quite reckless, but he still intends to push through with his opinion. Vildora calls out to Benamera. Benamera, have you forgotten yourself? I can beat even a small thing like Jahal or Zelario with a single twist, can't I? Vildora's confident statement again shook Benamera's resolve. Now that Remura has defeated Michael, Feldway has less reason to target Vildora. Knowledge as a commander appealed to him to make the best use of his forces, rather than to keep them at maximum strength deep in the labyrinth. At the same time, however, Benamera's instinct, what might be called a wild intuition, was telling him that this was a bad idea. Therefore, Benamera denied it immediately without any sign of agitation on his face. It is true that Vildora-sama is not an enemy of Jahal. But, what is your concern? When asked this question, Benamera laughed. I have a lot of concerns. That was the reason why he could not dispatch Vildora, the largest force against Jahal. What I am worried about is the evil god you mentioned earlier. I heard that even Demon Lord Daggeril was Vildora-sama's quarreling friend. In addition, there is a giant named Fen, Daggeril's younger brother, who is said to have been sealed up in ancient times. They were almost evenly matched, weren't they? Diablo nodded at Benamera. I didn't see them fight, but from a distance I felt that Fen was the better fighter. I see. Ultima reported it, so it must be a threat. If that's the case. Even with the presence of Demon Lord Luminous, I doubt if Xian and Adalman and the others will be able to win the battle. Daggerel and Fen, we should assume that both of them are comparable to the true dragon. Besides, Glassard is also a presence that should not be ignored. Since it is said that he was fighting against Demon Lord Leon, it was considered to be a challenge just to defeat him. Besides, the Titans have some strongmen in their ranks that we have not seen yet. Under such circumstances, if the evil god were to resurface, it is all just a possibility. However, Benimera could not shake off his anxiety. But there is still time before they reach Lobelia, right? If I go there and finish the job quickly. No, that's just wishful thinking. Just as Rimuru-sama has a secret technique to transfer the army, we should be assured that the enemy can do the same. Rimuru had also advised them to think of it as a profitable strategy if they could buy time. Benimera agrees with this opinion, and they should never let their guard down. Besides, Benimera felt a tingling sensation on his neck. It was instinct telling him to be on the lookout for danger. Even Lobelia was almost certain, though he had no proof, that something was going to happen. Therefore, I hope that Veldora-sama will be prepared for any emergency. Rimuru always said that Veldora was a secret weapon, and Benimera felt the same way. It is always better to play your trump card until the last moment. When you are in a situation where you have to cut the trump card, it is as if you have proved that the worst has happened. And if the unexpected happened, it would mean the defeat of their own camp. Very well. I'll be with you, so you go out there and play your part. Kufifufu, Benimera Dono has come himself. Leave this to me. But please take command. Diablo also agreed to send Benimera out. Benimera is going to take several other people with him. Jahal and Celerio were confirmed, but there was a possibility that other strongmen might appear. In such a situation, the defender is at a disadvantage, because they have to be prepared to deal with whatever force comes at them. I'm coming with you. Sae was the first to come forward. Benimera did not object to this and readily agreed to go with Sae. Sae's ability was ideal for playing with the enemy. He would be able to apply his skills more effectively than his numerical strength, and thus, he would be able to achieve great results in the war. But then came the problem. Kurenai was too exhausted to take with him. The same goes for Gopta and Ranga. Ranga, who had been moved from Rimuru's shadow to Gopta's shadow, was also in a deep sleep to recover his lost strength. Gopta is relatively healthy. Can't we just take Gopta with us? I don't want to die yet. There was a plan to ask the Labyrinthine members to join us, but Benimera rejected the idea, saying that it would be better to have them play an active role in the labyrinth than to take them out to an unfamiliar place. In this situation, they had no choice but to participate in the battle with only the two of them. Well, it can't be helped. Well, if Sae and I are compatible, we won't die at worst. That's right. We have Sylvia Dono and Elmesia. If we cooperate well, we can have a good fight. Sae agrees with Benimera. The video surveillance of Sarian also showed Elmesia. My sister, you can fight. I was surprised at how strong you are, said Myrmiles. Myrmiles said, and in fact, everyone was surprised and accepted the fact. Sylvia and Elmesia are almost indistinguishable from each other, and surprisingly, their fighting abilities are not so different. The only difference is that Sylvia uses lightning and Elmesia wind. Anyway, it was a happy miscalculation for Benimera and his team to find out that they had an unexpected force on their side. This has slightly increased their chances of winning. Therefore, Benimera and his group were not pessimistic and decided to set out alone. But then, Beta, who was checking the images of the various locations, shouted in a stifled voice, "Urgent report. Milum-sama and Velzard-sama have started to move. If they continue in that direction, they will hit the sacred tree protecting Sarian." Hearing this, all eyes focused on the big screen. The red dots on the screen were Milum, and the blue ones were Velzard. They were moving at a frightening speed as if they were intertwined with each other. Beta was right, they would reach Sarian at this rate. What's going on? Did Rimuru and the others do something? Veldora questioned. But no one answered. If we get caught in a battle like that, we will burn any place to ashes, Benimera said. Benimera muttered to himself in a pallid voice. Maybe that's what Feldway is trying to do. In the former Eurzania, the Velzard blizzard had frozen everything to ice. As a result, fortunately or unfortunately, the damage itself has been kept to a minimum. It is meaningless if Velzard does not lift the ice, but still, there is still hope because it is not completely lost. However, it is not necessarily the same in the future. Any city would be vaporized in an instant by a direct hit from Milum, which has lost its rationality. And it is not only Sarian that is in danger. Are you going to let Milum-sama destroy the world? I can't say for sure, but I think it's a possibility because she's crazy. Diablo answered Benimera's question without hesitation. Afelway's aim was really to spread death and destruction. It was thought that he was trying to summon Ivorage by using this as a trigger. Diablo pointed out this possibility. Benimaru also thought it was possible. Since Diablo thought it was crazy, it must be very dangerous. If he was such a person, he had no idea what he was thinking. Either way, Sarian would disappear. Where will they target after that? Western nations or El Dorado? There was a possibility that they would pass through all the cities and come to the labyrinth. They did not have enough information. In other words, there was no answer to the question. This is not the time for idle talk, Benimaru said. Benimaru stood up with these words. Rimuru is also there. If Diablo's guess is right, they would be trying hard to stop it by now. Then, Benimaru should have taken action instead of worrying. Benimaru does not dislike guts. He has an overconfident side and thinks that he can make it if he tries. However, it was only for himself, and it was against his principle to involve others. I'm sorry, Sally. Don't worry about it. That was all they needed to say to each other. It was enough for him to make up his mind and go out to the place where he would die. I'll go with you. Demon Lord Leon, who had been there for some time, came out of the sick room and announced that he was going to join the battle. And again. I will go with you. I have an unspeakable grudge against Chahal. Even Kigali came to the control room with a look of determination that she would not give in. Behind her was Tyr. We have to beat that son of a bitch and free Footman. I'll do my best for that, she declared with tears in her eyes. Benimaru had no reason to refuse. I will not hesitate. I will accept your offer gratefully. Thus, the face was decided. Now, the missing piece of the puzzle was found. Even after Benimaru and the others have left, the control room remains in a flurry of activity. Information is gathered from all over the world and delivered to Benimaru. They don't want anything more to happen. This was the common wish of all the busy workers. Everyone was praying for everyone's safe return. But even this modest hope is dashed. Urgent message from Adalman Sama. They've encountered an army of giants at the long wall in the desert. It was the moment when Benimaru's prediction of danger came true in the worst possible way. A great battle has begun. Thank you for watching. Hope you enjoy it.